Onstage, Johnston to Jim and Tom. 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 Tom and Jim.
Tonight we welcome Slugger to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. This summer they celebrated the release of their new album, Let the Good Times Rot, and this is a record that we'll be talking about a lot tonight. Please welcome to the program Sonoma County's own Slugger.
Welcome.
It's great to be here.
Thank you.
You have written that this band is a group of brothers. These are lives in progress, that this album is full of pain, anger, and joy on full display. And so I look at this record as a product of number one, like survival in your personal lives, and number two, camaraderie in your ties together. It's like, I think those two things are like what this record is. Would you agree with that?
100%. Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
Totally.
So, Hez, you said to me in the lead up to this that the making of this album has spanned many years, and that in that time you've all experienced some very intense life moments. So I'm happy to have you guys on tonight because I feel like this record is a great artifact from this era of your lives, and I think it's going to provide like a snapshot forever of what these last 5 or 10 years were. How long has this band been a thing?
Fuck.
5 or 6
I
years?
think it's, I mean,
verging
from
on
the-
6, I think.
Well, I feel like life has changed for all of you a ton in the last 6 or 7 years. That's why I bring it up. And I think tonight, one of the big things we're going to do is kind of go into your personal stories that have shaped this music. So let's start with our man, Josiah.
Hi.
We'll start with Josiah. And
Hi
feel
there.
free to pepper in
You're
anything.
starting with the drummer. Huh?
I'm starting with the drummer. I'm starting with the drummer
Balls.
because the drummer has only been
Kind
on.
of dangerous.
We have a
What if I'm off beat?
we have a second time appearance here. We have a third time appearance here. We have a second time appearance here, and we have a first time appearance here. When you were on the first time, we really didn't talk about anything of any substance, and I think that your entire segment was edited out. So let's see if we can do better that tonight.
True.
Yeah.
Hopefully tonight doesn't go the same way.
But yeah, you have had an incredible amount of change in your life in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I'm there. I wasn't trying to get to this point of change in my life. I guess I wasn't like looking for it, but once it was there, I was like, all right, well, this is what I got to do. And I mean, one of those things would be Henley.
I'm glad you started there because it's not just like one thing changed and then that was another thing. It's like very different aspects of your life
Yeah.
had things change too. Henley is a great example. Henley Hotel, for those who don't know, was a house venue that you lived at and also promoted shows at.
Yeah.
I would guess that like 30 to 50% of the bands on this show played in that house.
Yeah.
You guys did
Yeah.
incredible things. But then it just like stopped very abruptly.
Very abruptly.
And
yeah.
are you comfortable sharing the story about the abrupt stop?
I think you should share that story. It's a good story.
Yeah. I mean, in what kind of depth though?
Don't give us the name.
all
Don't give us the
depths?
name of the person,
Okay.
and just tell us what happened. It starts out like most stories.
Henley.
The road to hell was paved with good intentions.
And
Yes.
it was doing great work.
Exactly.
It was an important venue in Sonoma County.
Yeah, there was a friend of mine that I was letting live at Henley while we were putting on shows, and it just came to a point where that friend wasn't paying any rent and was not supporting anything that I was wanting to support in the house, and it came to a point where I was like, hey.
That's kind of code. You don't have to go into it, but bad vibes, right?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, bad
Right?
vibes. Bad vibes.
There was
Yeah, yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on, and it was time for this person to go.
Yeah, and once that happened, I got basically a high five from my landlord, and he was like, it's all good. I understand that what you were doing was awesome. It was a lot of fun for all the people around you, and I'm not going to make you pay for that. And he just let me off, but he also said, you got to leave within 24
You are
hours.
Wait a
leaving. Come
second.
on.
Wait a second.
You are censoring this story. You have neutered this story.
Well,
You're not going to tell
let it out,
the
brother.
part where he pulled a knife on you in your own fucking house?
Because it's not, to me, it's not, that's not the important part. The important part is that, I mean, for me, is that
Hang on, give the audience what they want. He pulled a knife on you in your own house.
And that's
Not
not
the
even all.
landlord.
That's not
Okay,
even all.
okay,
I
okay.
forgot
Not the
about the
landlord,
knife
yeah.
thing. That.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
this is what happened.
Yeah.
You got to
Let
clarify
me
now
tell you.
because it sounds like the
I'll tell you
landlord
a
pulled a
story.
knife on you from what
Yeah,
people
yeah,
are
yeah.
hearing now.
High-five dude that
You got
pulled
to
the knife
change
out.
it. Yeah.
Fuck, you skipped from like chapter 3 to like the last chapter.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go from where person wasn't paying rent,
Yeah,
right?
that's fine.
I said you got to pay rent.
Yeah.
And then that person, when I called, because I was also living like part-time with my girlfriend, and I was like, hey, I'm going to be at tonight's show, which was at Henley, which I was the like only connection to the landlord from anyone else. And I said, you either need to have rent or you got to, like, I need you to leave.
You were the
Because-
heavy, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can't just support you and everything else. And he pulled all of the knives, not just a knife, all of the knives out of the drawer, our kitchen drawer, and he threatened my roommate at the time, and he said, Josiah's on his way home, and he said, I'll fucking see you, and tonight blood is going to be shed. That's what he said.
Jesus.
Okay,
And
see,
so-
that's more detail than you gave us previously.
So do you think that it was there all along and you just didn't see it, or did something happen where he just went off the deep end? What was
Honestly,
up
it was like halfway through. I mean, like he was there 4 months and he never paid. The first 2 months, he was like such a nice guy.
Yeah, so
Or
God bless him, and no
that
judgment
person
here.
was a really nice person.
We hope this person finds peace. Also, they went to the roommate, or no, sorry, they went to the landlord, and they said,
Yes.
"This man is running a hotel."
Yeah,
Because you called it the Henley Hotel,
Yeah.
and that was not obviously what it was. That was
It's
just
an
a cute
alliteration.
name.
It sounds good.
It was a
Yeah,
nice
it was a
name
nice
for a
name.
house venue, a local house venue.
So that happened, and then my landlord called me, and he was like, "Are you renting out your rooms? Like, are you running a hotel?" And I was like, "No, I would never do that." And then he said, "Are you playing live music?" And I said, "Yes."
Well, but I mean, like ultimately, what happened was you were out in a pretty short amount of time. Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how much notice did you get before you had to go?
It was 6 o'clock, and he said if you could be out by tomorrow morning, that would be perfect.
Okay, so that is a huge defining moment for you.
Yeah.
You at this time were married to someone, and
It was just after that. but
okay.
yeah.
You had just then you okay. I was going to get to that. You'd gotten a divorce.
Yeah.
Okay, and this house venue was like a major part of your life,
Yes.
and now all of a sudden it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Wild.
What? Had you paid rent?
No. For the last 2 months that I was there, I did not.
You were 2 months behind in the rent.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, asking somebody to be out in 24 hours, that's kind of not legal anyway.
Yeah.
Well, this is information that was not given to me. I didn't know that you. I thought you were the innocent one in this, but regardless.
Well, you were kind of counting on this guy.
Yeah, I
for-
was. I was trying to, and I got to a point where I felt. I mean, when it rains, it pours, and at that point, it was pouring, and I was like, "Fuck."
Well, also
I can't
the
do it.
the ending of your marriage probably was weighing heavily on you. I'm sure you had a lot of stuff that was
Yeah,
not,
a lot of
not right.
There was a lot of anger there and confusion.
So that happened. Henley Hotel goes away.
Yes.
You probably seemed like everything that you had in the last 5 years was just like evaporated.
Yeah.
You probably were feeling pretty bad for yourself.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
But then some pretty remarkable stuff happens. You meet someone new.
Yeah.
You have a child.
Yes, I technically re-met a girl that I have always had feelings for. I've known her since I was about 15, and I met her because she used to actually date my brother.
Oh, this is
And,
new tawdry information I did not know about.
this is
He's
juicy.
seated at the
This is
table, by
This
the way.
is some high
Yeah.
school shit.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Juicy.
15.
I didn't go to high school.
I was
but
15
some
when I
high
met her,
school shit.
and ever since I met her, I was like, wow, you're just the coolest person I've ever met.
Did you two get married?
We are not married yet. No,
Yeah, but that's the plan.
that's the plan. Yeah.
So okay, then let's zoom out now. What'd you learn about yourself during these big life events?
You have to listen to the album.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
does it
that is
bleed
one way
into the album?
I think that the album was a really great way for me to express my frustration and anger and confusion without actually putting it on one person. I was able to put it into the music.
Yeah, he broke 2 cymbals.
There's so many times that I've broken things while we're playing, and it's almost always because there's something that comes into my mind, and I'm like, fuck that person so much, I hate them. Or it's like, I love this person so much. And, it's like you just get this emotion where you're just like, I am gonna push so hard that it doesn't matter what I break. I'm gonna push because I want people to know how I'm feeling. And that's what I was trying to do.
Has it ever been you that you're upset about when you're playing? Or is it always others?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially recently, it's been me because I'm just realizing, maybe not realizing, but putting something on myself that I feel like I'm not the dad that I want to be. And I'm really trying to be like the world's best dad. I really want that. But it's just like, it is really, really hard. It is really, really hard.
And not to press you on that if you don't want to talk about it. But
No, it's okay.
Why?
I realized that being a young 20-something, drinking a lot, doing drugs when I wanted to, if I wanted to, and smoking, and basically just only having regard for myself rather than for literally like a human that's growing and trying to learn what life is. I did not know what that was. And now I'm realizing that I really need to step up my game if I want that person to look up to me with happiness and to actually like want me in her life rather than like, oh yeah, that's my dad. He's an asshole. So I'm really trying not to be that asshole.
How old is your child?
She is, next month she'll be 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, but Hezekiah is your brother. He's seated at the table.
Hello.
2 people over. Hez was on with his band Bad Thoughts earlier in the year, and we talked a bit about this, about how you lost your father.
Yeah.
So, how does that affect the calculus, you think, of your relationship with your daughter?
I really hate that she's never going to meet him, but I also am a little bit, I'm okay with how it is because this is life, and life can either be chaotic or it can be regular or it can just be whatever you make it be. But I'm trying to make it so that she doesn't, I'm trying to make it so that, I'm going to say her name, it's Luna, my daughter. I'm trying to make it so that Luna doesn't feel anger towards anyone the way that I have felt anger towards my dad. But I want her to feel all the love that I have felt for my dad. So I was there when he passed, and it was really hard for me, and it's something that I am talking still constantly about. And I'm trying to find some help about it. But being the person that basically said, like, it's okay, Dad, like, goodbye, I guess I'm just trying to find a way that she doesn't have to feel the way that I felt. So, yeah, it sucks that he died, obviously. And for our family, it really fucking sucks because he did everything, even though we hated some of it. Like, he still did everything. I guess I'm just kind of hit a wall right there.
I appreciate all that.
Yeah.
One thing I admire about both of you, having faced tragedy, is the way that you try to like feel the emotions and you try to like navigate the emotions. I feel like something that I've done differently, which I don't know is really the right answer, is you just wall up.
Oh, yeah,
you get like
definitely.
you get like Batman, You wear all black, and you're like cold and repressed.
Yeah.
You know, and you can get more stuff done that way. But I also do think that there's value in like trying to navigate those feelings, and it's ugly. You know, it's scary.
Yeah.
So talking about it at all is tough. So I appreciate you doing that.
I think that's probably something that the four of us really have in common, actually. And we'll spend half a band practice just talking about it anyway, is how we all can sort of relate in that sense in the way that we navigate life when things can get hard. And that instead of ignoring the issues, we really try to understand them, like soak them in, let them exist. And then, you know, if we need to turn around and spit it back out you in the form of playing in a punk band or writing songs about it and stuff like that, that's what we all kind of do together. And I think that that has always existed between the four of us, and it's probably a lot of the reason why the four of us feel so close to each other is because we've never really shied away from being really open about that with each other, you know, soaking it in and trying to really wrap our heads around it. And then, you know, and just try to find some comfort in that.
Yeah, I feel like we constantly check in on each other and just see where we're at. If we have any inkling that something's wrong, like, hey, is everything okay? Like, do you mind talking about it?
And like the conversation about their dad passing, Josiah and Hezekiah's father passing, you know, we were very much making this record when that happened, and that was something that they certainly needed to navigate, and then therefore Alex and I were there as much as we could be, or they wanted us to be, or whatever. So how's that going for you guys in the moment, Hezekiah and Josiah, and then all of a sudden they show up next time, and you know, Hezekiah changed some of the lyrics around in the last song on the record. It's called "So Long, Kiddo." Is this okay for me to say?
Yeah.
And then I didn't find out until later. I was like, man, I really like that lyric, and the lyric is "It's okay to let go." And I didn't find out until we were recording the record. Josiah was like, yeah, that was the last thing I ever said to my father. I was sitting there at the hospital bed, and I said, Dad, it's okay to let go. And then that turned out to be a lyric that made the last song on the record. And it kind of blew my mind. I don't know. I just felt like that was a little nugget that I wanted to share, just try to tie that conversation back in to how we sort of operate here as a band. You know, it happened. And you know, it was painful for these guys for sure, but they were able to sort of turn it around and find some oddball inspiration, and then so we can sing it back to people. You know, that's sort of how we cope with that shit, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That song has gone through so many changes. It initially was about, well, the lyrics in the beginning have always been the same, and Josiah actually wrote them. And it's about a story of a man who's in a war-torn country in Africa.
I remember that, yeah.
And he heard this story about this man who lost his dad across the country lines, like when the fighting started, and he couldn't get word through to him. And it was years until he could cross the border safely. And when he did, and he went looking for him, he's like, "Where's my father? Where's my father?" And a guy was like, "He's over there," and it was a mass grave. And he knew he would never find him again. And so he picked up the sand and he put it in his pocket. And he's like, "I'm taking you home with me." Initially when I wrote the song, it was kind of like this bipolar song, because the beginning has a super deep meaning that you might not get unless you tell the story. And then I wrote a song about how my wife was fucking around and it like ruined our relationship. And
at least we can smile.
Yeah.
We can smile about it now. It's great. It's fun. I sing about it.
Yeah.
I was crying once. It's fine. It's fine.
I wait for the day that I can sing about that.
Yeah.
At least you can cry.
Yeah, I can cry all the time. I do it regularly. Yeah. But then as time went on, and especially after our dad passed, there was just something in me, and I was deeply traumatized by this. And like anytime I closed my eyes, I saw him. The last time I saw him, and he was barely there, glazed over, and he was holding my hand, and I went to walk away, and he gripped me closer, and I couldn't look at him. It really fucked me up. And I was in my head every time I closed my eyes. I saw that, and I had to push that feeling out in a positive way so it wasn't destroying me and keeping me from thinking about anything else. And
you did a damn good job, dude. Because that's one of the hardest things that I've ever, in my entire life, ever had to. I mean,
yeah,
that's hard.
It was
Damn,
devastating. And but I rewrote the lyrics, and I unified that song with that original feeling. And little did we know that those lyrics that Josiah wrote so long ago, this was like 5 or 6 years ago we started writing the song, and I culminated it and wrote it more about that feeling. And it's that person at the door wasn't someone coming to fuck my wife. It was death. And I knew that death was going to come in. I saw it coming.
So did she.
Love you, bud.
Love you too.
We got the puns. Like, I saw it coming, and this was a thing for me before. Like, in our early days of writing songs, I wrote a song about how my grandmother died, and I tried really hard to cry, but I couldn't find it myself, and I felt deep shame about this. And this time around, I couldn't stop crying. And so the lyric, I feel everything, I feel everything, I feel everything. And even the title of the album is about, like, not being able to find even a happy memory to connect to someone because it's so painful. And so it's like, I don't even want to think about the good times. Like, fuck them. Because I can't even think about anything right now.
Let them rot.
Let them fucking rot.
Is that title because of your relationship with your guys' dad, would you say? Or majorly influenced by that event, I guess.
Kind of a culmination of all of that. I mean, everything that we have all collectively gone through, but also the fact that, you know, we saw life end. And I mean, at least for me personally, seeing life start and still feeling like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Like, why? Why am I having a child? Is there a point? Do I have to figure it out once they're older or not? I mean, at least for me, that's what let the good times rot means. It's like, it's all just happening, and it's gonna keep happening. So just let it keep happening and try and figure it out on the way. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I just thought it sounded cool. I like it. Let the good times roll. I like it. It's kind of fun.
It's a play on an old rock and roll
Let the good
song.
times roll is the song.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Let them rot.
The good times, right?
Well, okay. I like what you're saying. Well, I like it all. But you were talking about how this band has been sort of like a way for you to stay in contact, to be there for each other and all that. And as you said in the lead up to this, this band in particular, I think, like, established you socially and, like, allowed you, like, a foundation to come out of, like, a very tough period. Could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, early on when I was in my early teen days, I barely spoke to anybody. I think I talked about this the last time I was on the podcast, but I had a really hard time interacting with anyone or being myself because I didn't like myself. And to a large extent, I still don't. I'm working on that. Being a person is hard. But so basically, like, playing music, it forced me to be the center of attention. And I still struggle with it. Like, I still get very nervous and anxious, but being up on stage, like, letting myself loose and talking about, like, very heavy things, but maybe in a way that someone wouldn't know unless they talk to me about it, is very freeing. And it's really helped me just in my life in general, like writing these songs and getting them out there.
Yeah. You talk about lyrical nuggets.
Them nugs.
Them nugs. Them nugs.
Dem nugs.
Obviously, the thing that your father said being
Dem
on
nugs.
this album is incredible. Really, I mean, them nugs.
No, I appreciate that.
I do. you, Robert, shared something with me from the song "Good Grief."
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that? Because that's another nugget in there, which I would have never caught. I listened to this album when it first came out, and if you hadn't told me about it, I would have totally missed this thing. And it, indirectly had something to do with someone who I know really well. Knew really well.
Very well. I know. I still need to tell your mom.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll listen to the podcast, but
if she sees you're on it, she probably will.
Yeah.
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 Mo loves her boys.
Well, what kind of backstory do you think what would be appropriate just to tell about, like how I came to write those lyrics, or?
I think whatever you think the significance of my brother's death had in your life. I mean, I feel like for these folks, obviously your father's death, a huge moment in the last 10 years, perhaps the biggest. I don't know where, the death of this person who was so close to you and to me ranks in terms of your stuff, but I feel like...
Number one by far, but I've been fortunate to not lose a ton of friends. I've lost a few. But the one that hit me the hardest for sure was Dominic, and he's your brother, and you and I have gotten close over the years through his passing and kind of what happened, and so he was one of my best buddies, and he tragically passed away in 2011. And so you and I, Jim, didn't know each other very well, but I hit you up shortly after the fact because I had an idea. I knew him through music, and our bands played together a lot, and all of our mutual friends were also playing in bands through his bands Pet Sounds and Girls and Suede, and I mean, take it all the way down the line. I thought Dominic was such a prolific songwriter. How rad would it be if we took some of these songs that he wrote and we covered them in our own style? And then so that's what happened. You loved the idea, and we did it together. And 15 tracks were recorded, all written by Dominic, but performed by his friends. And that his passing really affected me a lot. But the experience of recording, basically quitting my job for a couple months and shacking away in the garage where he grew up playing music, which is at your parents' house, and making that record, I feel like talking about like defining moments that sort of changed or shaped who you are as an artist. I can really kind of cycle it all back to those few months, and we were happy because we were celebrating how rad Dominic was and how rad those songs were and stuff like that, and that was really important to me, and I felt like we did a pretty good job with it. But then when it was all over, you sort of have like this withdrawal period, and it was like, man, I'm really proud that we did that, but what now? And it's sort of like, went from, it sounds weird that like I was really proud of our ability to be able to pull everybody together and to do that and stuff like that. But then when it was over, it was like, okay, I don't want people to forget. I want people to listen to these records and listen to his records that he sings and that he performs on and stuff like that. So it sort of like spun me into like a weird, hard to describe, like depression period. After the fact, when it was all over, we had like the really great celebration here at the Phoenix. We played this stage where we all performed the songs and we released the record and everything like that. And then I just sort of had to sit with no longer having my friend for a really long time and no way to express it, And I had a conversation with my best buddy. I'm going to shout out his name. I love him so much. Riley Clem. And he was a really good friend of Dominic's as well. And him and I, out of anybody else, have really been able to sort of talk about that. And it, I feel like he wouldn't mind me saying it kind of like messed him up artistically as well, where he was writing and performing a lot, and then after Dominic's death and the way that affected him, it kind of messed him up, and he wasn't able to do it as much and he's been working himself out of that funk for the past 8 years. And we had a conversation because we'll touch in with each other every February 14th, which is the day that he died, and just kind of tell each other that we love each other. And we don't have to say anything else because we know what we're talking about. And all of Dominic's friends are also really sore on that day too, for sure. And it was shortly after that, to make a long story short, we were making this record, and Hez had wrote this really awesome song, and we sort of needed more lyrics for it. And I knew what the song was about, and it was sort of about trying to find, trying to see the light in death, and just basically being at peace with it. Is that more or less?
It's about like a journey through life into death, and being not being complacent with like what you've got.
And so I asked Hez, I was like, do you mind if I take a stab at that? I hadn't written any lyrics for the record at all. And I was listening to the section, and I sat down, and I'm not a lyricist generally, but I really fucking had something to say because it just poured out. I wrote it in like 15 minutes. I never changed it. Like how it appears on the record is how it just sort of just flowed out of me. And so when I checked back in with Riley, I was like, hey man, I want to show you this. And I sent it to him, and he was, he said a lot of things, but among them he said, man, I'm glad you finally said what I've been waiting for you to say. And I really appreciated that. It sums it up perfectly because I did need to say it. And so I'm happy that it exists on this record. We all put a lot into writing and recording this record. So I feel like, that's like my little moment where I was able to get real vulnerable, and I didn't want people to hear it. I wanted to write it, and I wanted to record, I wanted to sing it, and I wanted to record it. But then like showing people, I was so nervous to send it to you. I was so nervous to like send you that text of like, hey, you need to check out this song because it's about Dominic, and it's probably why I've been procrastinating on speaking to your mother about it too, because there's a line in there that very directly references her,
And you don't have to quote the lyric exactly, but what is the general message? I mean, you say there's something you wanted to say for so long.
About the whole section?
Well, no, I mean, Riley messaged you and said, you said a thing that I have been wanting to say for so long. What was the thing? I mean, what's the general thrust of it?
That I just needed to vocalize just how, I don't know, man. I guess for me it was I was able to sort of find some kind of conclusion, some kind of period at the end of the sentence. To be able to say what I wanted to say about it, like that. That I miss you. You were never supposed to go, but you did. And through your passing, you kind of were able to really clarify some things for me, and like why we do this, why we get close to each other, why we make music, and that I don't want to be misunderstood here, because I miss Dominic every day of my life, but in a very weird way, his passing sort of was a really eye-opening experience for me, and like changed me and kind of helped guide me along. Like if I didn't go through that life experience, I would be less sophisticated and less prepared to deal with all the other stuff that comes my way, positive or negative.
And I wonder what your music life would look like. I just feel like that set of experiences led you to meeting a lot of people, making music like number one thing in your life. It always was something important to you, but it felt like to me as an observer that you like doubled and tripled down on this life in a way that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise.
I think that is definitely true. I think that on the unfortunate side, Dominic and I had plans to make records together. He was writing a bunch of songs that he wanted to record as a solo artist. And when he passed in Newport Beach, I was living 10 minutes away in Costa Mesa, interning at a recording studio. Like we were, I was in proximity. I was the closest person to him when he died, and we were planning on making records together. So I wrote that into the lyrics too, you know. And there's records that we never made, and we were planning on making those. So in that way, it was really really sad and unfortunate. And I feel like I missed out on some life experience that I could have had if he didn't die. But on the other side of it, I was like, well, you know, what else am I doing? You know, working at a restaurant? I'm going to fucking play music as much as I can with the people that I feel closest to. And I'm really fortunate to have found Josiah, Alex, and Hez and playing Slugger and my other band, Brown Bags. And I love those guys too. Just surrounding myself with just wholesome, good people that seem to have their head in the right place and doing this for the right reason, you know. Try not to take ourselves too seriously, but also try to make good art that we can, be proud of and show people that will hopefully like it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this show would not exist if not for his life, so here we are. Alex.
Yeah.
You have had to sit silently for so long.
That's okay.
Do you feel like your journey to California is an easily dispensable story that we would like to share on here? And the events leading to it?
Sum it up.
Because it feels like big things happened and things could have not gone in a happy way where you sit at this table tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of trying to get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it was traumatic for me, but moving here, I came here with like essentially my family, a really good friend and girlfriend at the time, my mom. And then at one point, we had a huge falling out at different stages. And it really fucked me up for a long time. And I think it brought about a lot of self-doubt that I still carry with me. So
when you lived in Reno, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think you look back on that now, we talked about this, is like maybe a place, if not for this community, if not for these people, if not for the music scene and all that, it's like you might still be there.
I don't know. I couldn't do it. I was willing to sleep on the street here.
Yeah.
I could never go back.
But I mean, getting out was an accomplishment, is what I'm talking about.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm not shitting on Reno. I don't want to get canceled by Reno.
I've definitely put my foot in my mouth, and I've learned a lot since then.
That was the name of our first band, wasn't it? Hez?
Was it Fuck Reno?
No, it was a lot like Reno. So we walked by a van, and it smelled like shit, and we were like, wow, it smells a lot like Reno. And then we named a band after it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that now.
I think that's an accomplishment.
There's a lot of great people I love there, but it hurt me a lot to be there. And I felt like if I stayed there, my life expectancy would be cut in half.
Didn't you have a teacher tell you like you'll never get out? You'll be back.
Yeah. They'll say you'd be back. It was a lot of positivity.
That's true. I'm not making that up, right?
No, it is true.
You told a teacher, I'm heading out. I'm going to California or whatever. And what did that person say?
Like, we'll see when you get back.
Yeah.
Or
what was that person's name?
In high school,
let's call him out.
Dox him.
Even in high school, I was like 7.5 credits short, and I had, I think, like 3 months left of school. And granted, like, I'm horrible at school, and I procrastinated a lot, though. But I had, like, honestly, like 4 or 5 teachers just tell me just drop out, like even the dean. And I love him very much, but I won't forget you should just drop out. There's no way you're gonna make it. And my friends are like, fuck that, dude, just try. Like, we believe in you. You could do it. And I ended up graduating, and I'll never forget after graduating my counselor saying, so are you going to join the military now or what? Like, Jesus Christ.
I'm going to play in a shitty band, man, in California.
Yeah, if I do that, I can't be in the shit.
So it was kind of like that environment with some people. Like it just felt like dreams couldn't foster there. And not to put down, I don't know. I'm always thinking like as if those people are in the room. And that's just another thing that I'm working on, but just not to insult their life or anything, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. I think it's less of a criticism of the people who live in Reno and more of a criticism of the people you encountered in Reno and how almost seemed like they were not really cheering you on. And in fact, we're trying to like pigeonhole you into these things, which probably wouldn't have fit for you at all.
Yeah.
So did you move here right after high school then?
Pretty much. Well, so the plan, like California was the Graceland, and it started with me and my buddy, and there's so many things that kept happening that we are ready to go. And my mom's friend down here said that we could stay with her.
Isn't your buddy going to be on the show next week?
Possibly.
Yeah,
In the band Hizzy?
Oh, he is?
The two people who escaped together.
James Venegas.
Yeah. Jumping on the back
I've
of a
known him
train.
since I was like 11.
Yeah.
11 or 12, yeah. Beautiful man.
Anyway, just a funny thing how this life works.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just we don't need to go too deep into it because it seems like something you wrestle with. You don't want to be cruel, but you also want to honor the fact that you've done some things that you're happy about, and here you are. You're rather that you're here than that you're over there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm proud of where I am now.
I think that might be a good segue for you, Tom Gaffey, to share some of your thoughts.
No, my thoughts have changed.
He listened to us talk for an hour.
What were your thoughts, and what are your thoughts?
So reading the album cold before speaking with you guys, it felt like you guys had a lot of what this album felt like it was about was the fact that life had been moving in a direction, and you expected it to come to a different place. And here you are all hitting close to 30s, and you're looking back and realizing this is not at all what I had expected. This is not the place that I meant to be. Boy,
For better or worse, yeah.
For better or worse, but that is the life journey. I don't think many people I know, the amount of time I've been here, have absolutely ended up where they expected to be. So you guys are probably on the right path. You're on the path you're on, and it's taking you to the place it's going to take you. And I think... but it changes when I hear the way you're talking about it. There's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been a lot of there's been some tragedy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it really has been a rough ride up to here. So now I think looking back is the same as looking forward. But you guys get to choose where you're going from here. You know.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
You are already you've catharsized.
Yeah.
With this album.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
It's palpable. The catharsis is palpable in this album, and it's almost like it's leaving you a space to jump off now and move in incredible directions.
Being able to move forward for sure instead of staying stagnant or in a state of arrested development.
Yeah.
Which I felt like for so long. Like putting out a lot of this has helped me I think even like realize more about myself and the things that I need to change in order to move forward and not just stay in the same spot. Even just this last couple months has been crazy, and my life has changed already so much from when it was just a couple months ago. And I mean, not anything intense has happened in that time, but I am growing and changing as a person, and my status in life is changing, and my responsibilities and everything, and becoming more of an adult. It's kind of crazy, and I'm losing my mind a little bit about it, and seeking out therapy and like figuring that shit out, because I've avoided it for so long. Putting this out has helped me see like there are avenues where I can have a better life. I can be better. I just need to put the work in.
I agree with that, and for me, I'd really try to emphasize that where we use this album as a way to express ourselves in the way that we felt like we needed to up until that point, and then we did it, and we recorded it, and we put it out, and we had a release show, and we pressed it, and we celebrated putting it out into the world and having people hear it. And for me personally, I can't speak for everybody in the band, but for me it was like, rad. We did it now for me, and now I can move beyond that. Anything that I had to say that I channeled into the album, we recorded it, we put it out there, and we released it. And now I try to, I try to let the good times roll now.
Okay, but did you used to be a good times rot guy?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Through the, I've been a pessimist, but lately, within myself, I've noticed that doesn't really get me a whole lot of anywhere. And so I'm a believer that you really have to, if you want to change something about yourself, you really have to, instead of just hoping that it will change, you actually have to put in the effort make it change. And so, you know, and the four of us have talked about it a lot internally as a band, but basically I've personally really tried to put in the work to feel better, to be happier, and to be more optimistic about things. And, you know, and what are the steps that I've had to take to be able to see some progress within myself? Then I've, you know, definitely taken those steps, and, you know, I'll be working on it till the day I die, I'm sure. But I feel like, you know, I've that's been a focal point for me, and I've been better about that lately. Happy to say.
Let them roll.
Yeah.
Let them roll.
I like the idea that completing this album was kind of like dislodging giant boulders in your psyche.
Oh yeah, it definitely
that
was.
wouldn't move for a long time. And I have to think that, like, you know, you finding an amount of love that you had lost for a long time, something. I would have thought you having a daughter would have done that to you, but it seems like less so.
Called out.
It has.
I don't say that in a negative way at all.
No,
which is,
I do understand what you're saying.
I really appreciated what you shared earlier.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when people see their child for the first time, it's like, and for you, not that you don't love your child, but that you still carrying the stuff from your dad.
Yeah.
And there's like this heaviness of life that still is almost kind of outweighing some of this joy.
Yes.
And I appreciated
definitely
the honesty
agree
in
with that.
sharing.
Yeah.
That.
I think that there is like I can't say for sure because I don't know, but it's almost like I already had so much of the pain. And then, like I said, I mean, I wasn't really planning on having this experience at this time in my life, but it's happening, and now I love it because I'm letting the good times roll.
Let them roll.
Letting them roll. But
I feel like officially at the end of this episode, the times rotting, the good times rotting,
Yeah.
that's over with.
yeah,
the good
we're
times
just letting
rolling.
them roll.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're
But
letting
finish
them
your
roll.
thought. Finish your thought, though.
That's
I
not
was-
good branding for us, though. I know we need to like push this for another year.
You got
We have
to
to
tour
rot.
the album.
Yeah, we
I know.
got to tour. We got to rot on
Come
tour,
on, man.
and then we'll roll.
Yeah.
But it was almost like I added. I already had a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and I personally, I don't know how Hez feels about this, but I have been holding, and still do hold, a lot of it on my shoulders as like a personal weight, because I feel like part of it was because I was there. But having my dad die, and then all of a sudden there's a new life, there are certain things in my head, and this is also why I am also going to be going to talk to a therapist and try and figure out if I am upset for the right reasons or if I need to kind of figure that out. But I hold on to it, to certain things, and it happens to be my dad. Even though sometimes I hated him, it was like, now that he's gone, it's all I can think about. And then Luna comes into this world, and it's like a competitor, where I'm thinking about how it's like, no, I'm supposed to be sad right now. I'm supposed to be upset. I'm supposed to be in my own thing. But I have to put that aside now and figure out how to make sure that I can show you that this life can be better than being that upset, sad, angry person. So I'm still figuring it out, but I don't think that I have it figured out yet. I'm still on baby step number 1 of like, all right, cool. Hold my hand. We're going to figure out how to climb these stairs. But with every step, there's a little bit of sadness, and there's a little bit of my shit that I'm going to have to deal with, as long as you can be there with me. And I mean, I have the best partner in the world, and she has dealt with all of my bullshit.
Have you mentioned that with every step there's also got to be quite a bit of joy?
I guess I kind
With
of
every step
I
there
forget
has to
that.
be some sadness. some sadness. With every step, there's got to be joy. You're with your daughter. Yeah. What a joyous thing. She wants to feel that joy. She's going to feel enough sadness in her life.
That is very true.
Guide her with your joy.
We just have to find the joy.
Yeah.
Know?
The joy? What? Look in your daughter's eyes. What do you mean you have to find the joy?
No, I
the joy is right here at this
you're
table.
Saying,
Holy cow!
I do. I see what you're saying. I can't let that overpower.
Yeah, the journey is
like
not,
how
is
I
not
have
the
been.
sadness.
Like I said, I'm holding it on my shoulders. I need to just.
You've been blessed.
Find a
You've
way
been blessed
to,
with a daughter. You've been blessed. Have you held her hand yet?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Isn't that incredible?
Yes. So amazing.
With every step you take with her, as she holds your hand, what a miracle! What a joy!
Yeah.
What a joy! Holy cow! And every note you guys play together, what a joy! What a miracle!
No, that's,
oh my gosh!
You're completely right.
Yeah, I think it's as you get older, you start to see like, for us and our brothers, you can see like our dad coming out a little bit more, and there's things that you love about it and things that you hate about it because it reminds you of things. And I think that with Josiah is like he and on the rest of us, we lost the chance to get closure for things that we didn't like about what we saw in ourselves of him. And not only did he not get to let that go or get closure on that, he became a father himself. And so now he's dealing with that at the same time. And that's rough. I mean, I look in the mirror and I see my dad and it makes me sad and it makes me a little bit happy, but I'm still here and I can inspire joy in people. And I love your daughter. She's beautiful. She used to like, another thing that I share with my dad is we freak babies out. And I think it's the eyes because we stare a little too much. I do that with dogs too, and they get freaked out and they bark at me.
You know, he walks in and she's just like, "What?
Yeah. My dog.
What are you doing?"
I'm a dog whisperer, but not a baby whisperer yet. But for, just recently, I helped him move into a new house, and for the first time, she was so happy to see me, and it's because I was shoving an unworkable amount of pizza inside of my mouth. And I bridged the gap, and now we're best friends.
Yeah, I got that
and
too.
Wonderful.
I got validated that day. She gave me a smile.
She was like, "You guys are all right."
So that's the joy.
Well, I think you put it best.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, what you said about his daughter was wonderful, and I think the idea of this album being a hugely cathartic thing, you feeling it, I think that, I mean, how else can we end this episode but with that sentiment? I think the album, as I said earlier, is a testament to like this chapter of your lives, and a testament to like all of you realizing, hey, there's some stuff. Like I can't be the father I need to be if I don't get my stuff worked out. I can't be the person I need to be to my partner, to my bandmates if I don't figure out my stuff. I can't be the person that the person who I've lost would want me to be unless I get my stuff figured out. You know, I can't be the person who might have ended up somewhere I didn't want to end up. I need to like keep on the path, you know? Yeah. And this album is just a testament to all the work you guys have done to this point. And you heard it when you listened to it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And how?
Oh, yeah. Well, as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, boy, this is really an angsty piece.
It is.
Yeah, that's in my brand.
Yeah.
Well, I just love your transformation in listening to them talk, because before you had more of like a critical standpoint where you're like, you know, you're almost 30. It's like you have a choice. Your life doesn't have to look that way. But then he listened to you talk, and he's like, no, okay, this is them doing the work.
You to that point.
This is the progress of that work.
Well, this is like early 20s songs.
Yeah.
We've been working them for so long.
Me as well. As you hear it, you guys have been working on some of these tunes for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I'm 7 years in some cases. Yeah, like
really?
Really early songs. "So Long Kiddo" is probably the oldest song. It's 7 years old. It was when I started writing.
And it's the last song on the album.
Yep.
You already closed the episode out about 15 minutes ago, but do you have anything else you want to say, Mr.
Yeah,
Gaffney?
weirdly, it just keeps coming back. I don't know why. Siddhartha, Herman Hesse, and I have no idea why this keeps springing into my head. Om is the bow, and the soul is the arrow. You meditate on that and let your spirit soar, man. Pull that bow back and boom, let that sucker go. And let your soul be the arrow. And peace is the arc. So that's it.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you saying that. I've been, honestly, there's like a lot of shit that I've been listening to lately that's like just random. I never would have listened to it, even new music. And there was one that they were talking about yin and yang, and it was just about like what is yin and yang and what is chaos, what is order, and is there one or the other, or is it all just a part of it? And I feel like what you just said is kind of that's meeting right in the middle.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Jordan Peterson podcast.
Fuck.
Was it?
Yeah, you have been listening to a lot of new things. Really, haven't you? Yeah.
It was Oprah. That's what it was.
That's
It was
a,
Oprah.
Oh,
yeah, it was
all right.
Oprah.
Everyone
and,
approves of that.
I forget.
Dr. Phil?
No, I forget what the guy's name was, but it was Oprah and
It's Jordan Peterson.
we'll discuss that at a later time. Slugger, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
so much.
I
Jim. Thank you,
truly
Tom.
feel this. You guys carry on the tradition of the great Sonoma County bands that have
Yes.
played this stage and other
Thank
stages for years. You had that show earlier this year, and it was. I mean, I would say you were there. A lot of people were there. It was like the coolest local music thing we've had in like at least in 2019. All the different people from all the different generations of all the different bands were there to see you play that music.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
love
What an
it.
incredible thing. And you guys are 100% a part of that lineage that goes back so long. And
Yeah, I love it.
We've seen a lot of them play the stage, a lot of them come on the show, and it feels very special that we got to finally get this band on here tonight. So thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in just a moment, a collection of this music that we discussed at length, a set from Slugger, is next. Let the good times rot. Thanks again, everyone.
let
Thank
him
you.
rot.
Thank you.
waiting.
Just calm down, I'll be there soon.
And when he comes up to your door, I know you will let him.
It's just a bad dream, won't you wake up?
I saw your breath against the glass. I know you weren't waiting.
It's okay to let go.
Whoa! He didn't know what was what. It's just a bad dream. I've had enough. Let the good times roll.
Occlude my psyche, dilute the subtle thoughts between myself and everyone here. Confidence is best when shared.